Hi Ankit, nice to see you. Glad you could make the time. We'll just give it a few minutes. As usual, I'm early. Live frames, hello. Hi everyone, just giving it a few minutes. Ricard Films, hi. Hosanna, good to see you. So for those who don't know, Ricard Films, please do follow. They are great photographers. Varun is one of the most amazing photographers that I have met. He's done a fantastic job shooting lots of profiles, events, etc. And the name itself has a very interesting story, which I'm sure if you connect with Varun, they will let you know. Hello, Ibn Batuta, great to see you. I have I have a very interesting guest for all of us. Just waiting. Hello. Let me just... I've just invited our guest. I'm waiting for her to join. Hi, Dr. Anita Rajani. Can you hear us?
Hey, hi.
Very,
How have
very
you
happy.
been?
Very well. We already have a lot of people who've joined. So great to be part of this conversation with you on a Friday evening. And I'm just going to take a few minutes to introduce you, and then I'll introduce myself. So I have the pleasure of being in a conversation with Dr. Anita Rajani. She has written several books. The one which I have with me right now is The Inner Voice. Dr. Anita is a PhD in inner child integration therapy and an author. She has acquired an honorary degree in life coaching, and all her years of learning and experiences, she has culminated and published this book. Her first book, I think, or the other book is Shiva Shakti. And we both have very similar interests, and that's why I thought this would be a great conversation. And for those of Dr. Anita Rajani's followers, I'm Turiya. My book is The Vast Empty. It's a lot of poetry focused on life experiences, on divinity. Okay, great to see that. We have each other's books. And I thought it would be interesting to have this conversation around the whole, what is the inspiration? How do we weave in divinity? How do we weave in passion and purpose? So that's how this is a free flowing conversation on a Friday. So, Dr. Anita, it's great to have you and finally be speaking to you again. I hope your travels were all good. So, I
Yes.
have this question. What was the synthesis of this book that I have with me? It's almost like if I need an answer, I just have to open a page,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So
So
that's
tell us a
the
little bit.
purpose of the book. Yeah, that's the purpose of the book. So they're just, you can say, pearls of wisdom that I have downloaded over a period of time, and I have just like kind of compiled it all in a book. So it's all these morning readings that I used to keep doing, and then they're all there somewhere, and then I just kind of got it all together, and then it became this beautiful bedside book. So it's like something which you can have on the coffee table, which you can have it like anywhere you can give someone, and this really gives all the answers that people really want at the time when you're stressed. So it's like you just open a page and there it is, you get your answer. That was the intention of the book. So whenever I write a book, my intention always is that when people read it, there's some shift that should happen within them, some kind of transformation, some kind of healing, something that they're looking for that they find in the book. So I think it works that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been reading your books, and even Shiv Shakti. I think that's a beautiful book. So what got you started to write?
I used to write poems like you. I have more than 200 poems, but I've not compiled them as yet. So I loved writing since long, and I used to, I think we all writers, impromptu writers, start somewhere by just writing about your life and keeping journals. So I think, yes, that's how we started. And then I always loved reading and writing, and then I wrote a lot of poems, and that's how slowly I got into this whole thing. I just it just got cultivated into becoming an author slowly and steadily over a period of years.
That's great. And you've written a book, you've written these musings, if I may call it, and then you've written poems. So, in your mind, how are they all different, and what do you enjoy the most?
I think I just enjoy all of it. I am a multitasker, and I have a lot of different aspects to myself. Half of them are unexplored as yet, but but I love doing all of that. But I feel that anything that would reach people, anything that I can put across in a form where someone can get some kind of an inspiration, some kind of a motivation, or a life-changing transformation. So that is my intention, to reach larger, sector of people where I can just be able to. It's like just maybe little. If you look at the book, they're very small understandings about life. Probably half of it we all know, but sometimes we just need to remember them at the right time. That's
Yeah.
what's very important.
Yeah.
So that's the ultimate motivation. So it can be anything.
Our motivations are very similar in that sense. When I started writing my poems, and I think you have it, and I think you've read some of it as well, and I'd love
I've
to hear
loved
what you
it.
think about it. Yeah. But my motivation also was somewhat similar, that there should be a shift, right? I mean, there was always, when I picked up poetry, and I love poetry, and I think people who've heard me have heard me now for many, many times saying this, that I wanted people not to be daunted by the whole concept of poetry, right? Not get worried about, it's so deep, it's depressing, it's this, it's that, or, go back to their memories of childhood where they had to mug everything and then vomit it out on a paper. It's so different, because poetry can be a beautiful form of expression at the deepest level. And for me, it was bringing about a shift in people. Look at the collective questions that they have, the wisdom and the divinity within, and really express them in words. And that's what I've tried to do with poetry. So I think we're both aiming for a shift of some sense, right?
I have a
And
question for you here.
yeah, sure.
I have a question. So you wrote, like, even I think someone has put it up and down in the chat too, and that's my question too. Is that, did you write the topics, because all your poems have a word, rescue, release, or slowing down. So just wanted to ask, did you start with the word, or you just give the title later? Because your poem about the word, say for example, you have written about something called the word, and then there is, it is so beautiful and so deep, and I like release. There are
Yeah.
some of them which are, and I'm like, wow, she's written so much about a simple word, like a word, and it's so deep. And I also want to compliment something to you before you answer me, is that when I read this book, okay, I don't know if I'm interrupting you, but I would like to just add this. I love the name Turiya. I love it. And once we read this, we understand why it is Turiya. Okay, and the way you have written this poetry at the back describing yourself, it is it even describes why you have this, and this is so beautiful, and it has, it is all white. It has a, this can be a void, and it can also be a complete dot, or the bindu that we talk from, where the whole universe emerges. So it's so beautifully done, and in one of your poems you have even written about the void, and I was like, wow, it just fits in so well. Everything just fits in so well. So I just wanted to compliment because I couldn't keep this book down at all. And it was
So
really
much.
beautiful. Every word in it. This is my question for you.
Firstly, thank you so much. I am so touched by the generosity of your words and your compliments coming from you. I think it's a great honor. I'm really humbled. So thank you so much for your kindness. And you know, when I started writing, I keep contemplating on some of these topics, right? I look at the moon and I wonder what does the moon feel like looking at down on all of us, right? I try to personify a plant, a moon, a rock, whatever comes to mind.
Correct.
Sometimes that, yeah, so that's how I've thought. Even words, if the words had feelings of their own, if a poem had life of its own, how would it form itself? Right, in words. So it's like, and I think it goes back to a lot of, maybe one can call it paganism or anything, is that everything has life and there's beauty in everything, right? And there is a purpose to everything. uh, so I think that's how I have. I can't say honestly that the names of the poems were by design, but it was the concept I kept debating. And sometimes the names are just a single line or a single word, but it kind of captures the feeling, and I think it fits in well. It's a lot of it is written in a very inspired state. So I can't say there's any
Like
method to
in one of the
madness.
poems, you have written about, something around whether the life began first, or it's like about really like it fits in with the same answer. Like we don't know whether you wrote the poem for the word or the word gave you the inspiration to write the poem.
No,
So
that.
yeah, you have written about that too in your book. It's beautiful.
Thank
It's
you.
really beautiful.
Thank you so much. And, I can't stop talking about this. It's like on my bedside, just the way you meant it to be. And the affirmations that are there at the end of everything, it's like a life lesson. I'm just going to scroll through some of the comments that are there. Anushika, thank you so much. She says both the books are absolutely fantastic. And Zukmo Kaino Mukund Mudukavi, thank you for joining. While writing poems, do you start with the same theme in mind or motivations in a way? No, I think it's just observation for me, and I'll ask Dr. Anita to respond to that as well. For me, it's just observation. What do you observe, and how do you sometimes bring two very different concepts together and imagine what it would be? Sometimes it's the depth of feeling, sometimes it's just wondering, it's some creative inspiration that comes in. And it's also, I think, a little bit of quirkiness. With poetry, I feel you can't just be very planned about it. You see something, it strikes you, it moves you very deeply, and that's when the words come in. Sometimes I listen to the same song over and over and over and over again, even for 45 minutes, until whoever is with me is like, it's completely fed up. But there is something in that song which is catching my attention, and I'm trying to distill the essence of it. It's a very powerful feeling, and how do you capture it in words? And that's very frustrating at times. So there's one poem that I've been writing for the last, I don't know, 6 months. I'm just not getting the right thing, right? It's there in my head. Anyway, Dr. Anita, what is your answer to this question? Do you start with some theme? So if it's for a book for you or the poems, how did you start?
I don't start. I'm learning this from you, very frankly speaking, to see something and then start writing a poetry on that. So I think that's something I'm going to try next. But for me, it's always been something has been an inspiration to write whatever I'm writing, or it's my deep thinking or the wisdom that I have picked up. So this book specifically is something that it's like a download, like we all get these downloads. So I've tried to pen it down. It's also something maybe I've learned from life itself, something when I'm a therapist. So when I'm taking sessions with people, then it's something maybe I pick up the essence of what exactly life is trying to tell them and how they are healing themselves. So I put that into pen. So I do a lot of that. So for me, no, it's not, I do not pick up a word or pick up a thing and then do, but all the life around me, people, experiences, my therapies, I try to understand, like deep thinking, like how you do your deep thinking. I do it through people's emotions. I do it for people's, like, how they're emoting, why they're emoting, why a person is going through, why they're going through it, so about their life sequences. So that is what I try to pen down. So it helps them. So when that's why when they read, for them it is like, okay, this is how I get my answer to move in my life.
And it's beautifully said. I almost sense that your purpose is also so aligned with your writing as well as the work that you do. Can you tell us a little bit about the inner child integration therapy? I think our people would, I'm very curious. I know somebody who's done this and feels it's fantastic. So, what message would you like to, provide to the people who are listening to this?
So, I would like to send a message that most of us are not aware of our emotions and where they're emerging. So, if we have triggers, if we are having emotional issues, or we are having relationship issues, issues with abundance, we don't realize that there is a pattern somewhere. And the pattern could be emerging from some core, some seed somewhere. We just need to go to that seed and heal it. So it's as much as like I am moving around. I will just give a metaphor for the entire thing, is that I'm moving around with a lot of wounds on my body and I don't even realize, because I have, how you become numb to your own pain, and I'm become so numb that, and it's for most of the human beings, we don't realize that we are walking around with like so many wounds, and wounds can be this life, past lives, whatever they are, and we don't realize why we are in pain, or why my body is paining, or why my relationship is hurting me, or why life is hurting me. But I am carrying so much baggage, so many wounds. So there is always a way to let go of these. There is a way to heal this. There are many ways. There's not one way. Therapy or inner child integration is one of the ways where we can, address the issues. There are many other ways to address the issues, and we can heal our lives, and we can definitely change our lives to what we would like it to go. But it requires a lot of commitment to self.
That's commitment. I think that's a very important aspect of anything that we start. Commitment, perseverance. But I think somewhere it's also a belief, right? Sometimes, when people talk about some of these concepts, right, the healing therapies, there is always a sense of disbelief, and the rational mind kicks in a lot of time. But I've always felt we didn't grow up knowing all the answers, right? Our scientists in the last 2-3 centuries have found so many things which were all thought as fantasy. In fact, people were burnt at stake for saying some truths which proved to be scientific truths later on. So we don't know
Correct.
what we don't know. I'm a big believer of, follow it. If it's come to you, it's a gift. Take it, see what you can do with it, and how it kind of
Yes.
changes your life, right? Would you
Yes.
see that as a purpose of yours in terms of healing people through your books, through your therapy?
Yeah, that's definitely my purpose.
And when did
I Because
you
it's,
discover
you
your purpose?
will know it's your purpose when it becomes your passion. So when it's your passion, then it's definitely your purpose. If you do something like when you're sleeping, eating, waking up, you're just doing that. So definitely it's your purpose.
So tell me, when did you discover? Because a lot of people say, were you born with a purpose? Did you discover it midway? What is my purpose? And sometimes it seems too grand. Sometimes when you see people, it looks like they've got their life set, right? It's all going per plan. And sometimes I get asked this question, did you all plan it out? I said, no, I think the whole idea of life is to take a bit of a playful approach and be open to the possibilities and the opportunities. Sometimes the best plan is when there's no plan.
So see, there are many realities. Okay, your truth can be different from someone else's truth. There we have so many millions of people on the earth. Okay, and every person cannot have a similar goal or a life plan or a life purpose. Each one comes with different purpose on life. Some souls might have come just to have fun, just to rest in this lifetime. For them it would be like, okay, I've done enough of self work, I've done enough of, I've just come to explore, I've just come to enjoy, or I've just come to take a chill pill. But there might be some people who might be so courageous at the soul level and saying, no, I will work 10 lifetimes, work in one lifetime, and I want to really make it out of here, and I want to really get the moksha, and stuff like that. So when they are brave enough, they come down, and when they are hurdled with so many problems, they don't know where they're going. So each one to its own. There are no right paths. There are no wrong paths. It's just each one to its own path. And coming to your question about the life purpose, if there is something that is hitting you all the time, that I need to seek, then your inner voice will always tell you. If there is no voice and I'm just sitting and enjoying myself, then there is no voice, there is no life purpose, enjoy yourself. But if there is something that
Yeah.
keeps hitting you and telling you, ki, okay, wake up, wake up, wake up, you need to do something, and you still don't listen to it, then, you get kicks on your butts, and you really get bad kicks, because the universe will not leave you alone. You've come down with a life purpose, you better look at it. Sometimes we may find a life purpose, we may just topple on it, and then it's like, Eureka, wow, I've done this. This is what I need to do. I might not be looking for it, but I found it. And some of us might be just flowing into it without even realizing that that was a life purpose. So each one to its own. But I cannot say that everyone comes down with a life purpose, but if you do, you will be shown the way. Universe is always talking to us, right? So you will
No,
be
that's
shown.
true. And I love the comment that Ink Patch has made. Some souls have come to chill. It's a very cute comment. So thank you for that, Ink Patch. I found that comment really, yeah, it was cute. Sometimes we have a very heavy approach to life. Everything has to be serious. Everything has to be
Yes.
uh, sometimes and we often times I think get bogged down by the whole idea of what is my purpose. I have one, and this is something that I've come to realize, that I don't want to be a seeker, I want to be a finder now. So I've changed the whole, and that's just my way of looking at it. Maybe right, maybe wrong, I don't know, and actually it doesn't matter because I don't need the validation. It's, we all know the answers. We just have to remember. And the whole idea of sitting still, observing.
Yes.
And I feel that when we are able to do that, a lot of answers just appear because it's there. We just don't take time to remember. So
Yes.
it's move away from seeking, because when you're seeking, you're like, what's the next big thing that you're seeking? But towards finding. So I think that's also informed a lot of the writing. Just sitting still and let the words come to you, let the inspiration come to you, or look at something, observe it, and it becomes a very, very different, it takes on a life of its own.
I will explain that also. So when we begin, we will begin with seeking, because
Yeah.
we don't know how being is. So we begin, it's like a base of the journey that is on towards to your ascension. So you're beginning with a seeking, and it's like you're seeking, 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 that till you realize there is nothing out there. And how many times have we heard that everything is within you? So then we ask ourselves, where is it within me? Because we are so conditioned to look outside, we are so conditioned that to look, and it's that how human life is made, the illusion of the outside and the inside. So if we can go beyond the five senses, and if we can go beyond the illusion of life, and if we can sit still and then look within, like you said, everything is within you. And once you can achieve, because achieving stillness is also a task. It's not going to happen one day, and it requires a lot of courage, because when you begin to look within, it's not going to be very easy. It's going to be very difficult. You will see a lot of darkness within you. And when you start seeing that darkness, you might get into fear and run away. So you need to get beyond the illusions of the darkness. You need to go beyond everything to reach that stillness, what we talk about. Very easy to say that those monks up there, they go and sit in the hills, and they are like, so beautifully they are in stillness. But they've done a lot of hard work. They've
I,
done a lot of
yeah.
chanting. They've lived their lives very tough. They have let go of a lot of their desires to reach that stillness. And very beautifully said, life is not there anywhere outside, it's all within you. So eventually, we are all going to come down to ourselves.
True. And I have to do this shameless way of saying a lot of what we are both saying is captured in these poems
Yes.
and over here. right? And I think
Yes.
that's what in our own way we've tried to talk about: stillness, about seeking, about finding peace, about finding happiness in what we have, just observing. So I'd say, give it a chance. Actually, our conversation is going beyond writing, Dr. Anita. I think we
Yeah.
must have one more conversation around the
Yes,
truth
sure.
and
I
purpose
wanted
and
to
what
talk something about your, your poem, The Date, on page 67.
yeah,
So when
please
I
go
was
ahead.
reading that poem, it's so beautiful that I felt as if, your higher self was dating your personality self, and, which is your lower self. And there was a dialogue like between your sharir and, your sharira and your atman. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? The
Why don't
personality
you
and
read
your
it?
soul.
Why don't you read it out, and I'll pick something from here to read as well.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So let's read The Date by Turiya, and it's a beautiful poem. She came looking for me, knocking at my door with those wise eyes boring into my soul. All my actions, good or bad, my words, half truths, untold lies, lay naked and threadbare. Till sifted through a sieve of despair, I was on a date with myself. Many decades too late, getting to know me through someone else, someone from the past, from lifetimes before, someone who loved me yet was keeping score. No place to run, nowhere to hide. I accept my fate and turned around. Karma had arrived. Bounty hunter from the past, she was waiting for me to hand me my cross. She's neither vengeful nor is she an angel. She won't set you free till you settle your debt with her master, also known as destiny. Is that it?
That's
Okay.
it. That is
So
the,
this was,
but you read it so well. I should
I
get you
was
to
like,
read
I
more
thought there's
poems.
more. I wanted to go on and on. It was so beautiful.
The next poem.
It's so beautifully done. I felt as if, oh my God, this is like you're coming face to face with your own self. And now that you cannot run away, it's like, might as well have a date with myself and enjoy life.
You
Like
know
I
the
said, when you go in within, you first you see all the darkness, right?
Yeah. And you know what the beauty of it is there are 65 poems in this book, and I always make a big show. It's almost like a ritual to say that I have this bookmark, which is now a leaf. And by the way, just for you, this is from Baba's ashram when I went there. This is the Tulsi plant they'd given, and I've
Okay.
saved it. So that will
Wow.
be of relevance to you. So I keep saying that everyone who's read the poem has had a different interpretation. So they're not 65 poems, but they could be 1,065 because everyone's interpreting
100.
it in their own way, right? Now, with your
Yes.
permission, I'd like to open a page at random and read what it says, and
Yes.
let's see if people, yeah. So I'm just going
Yeah.
to. Okay, I opened page 294. It says, oh wow. Do you feel dispirited and hopeless that your goal seems a long way away? Always be calm and centered and look back to review how far you have come in this life, how many struggles you have won over. Take note of the negative patterns that persist to turn into self sabotage. Understand how your subconscious fears do not let you rise up and shine. There is no one outside, and all your answers lie within you. Make sure you remind yourself of all the moments you stayed strong. Wow. Build up the same strength and break the patterns to break free fully. You can do this, and you will. That's where your growth lies. Beautiful. And the affirmation is I break my own self sabotage and overcome my own blocks. And you know why this resonates with me? It's whenever we act, sometimes it's from a place of fear, sometimes it's from a place of positivity, right? So is it a scarcity mindset or is it an abundance mindset? And some of these things are constant reminders that think positive, think of the strength, and all of us need to be reminded of the strength that we have, especially in moments of weakness when we forget and everything looks black and, doomsday ridden. And this is so powerful. And I don't know if it resonates with our people who've joined, and thank you so much for joining. But maybe there's an answer for each of you in your own particular circumstance, maybe some answer that you're looking for. And so this is something that I keep by my bedside and I keep reading constantly and through the day. And it's a nice fat book, I must say. So it will cover pretty much whatever situation you are. We've got a lot of people who've joined. I'm going to say hello to all of them. Sangeeta, Anuja, really nice of you to join. Shaba, Gaurav, it's really nice. You're really attracting a big crowd, I must say, Dr. Anita.
I think
Yeah,
it's of us together.
I think this quirky conversation that we are having. Any questions? We'd love to take on more. Yes, I agree with Rick RJ Classes Jain. This book gives a lot of insights. I'm fully with you on that. And I think the whole thing is all of these are gifts that are given. How do you recognize them? Sometimes it's a book, sometimes it's a person you meet, sometimes it's a piece of poetry that you've read, sometimes something. It's just how do you make the most of everything that's being given to you? How do you recognize it?
So, just by training your mind, by becoming more aware, first thing we have to do is start silencing our minds. Our mind is such a clutter, and there's so much chatter within us that we might, like God might pass through us and we might not be able to see him. We might not recognize him because we are so caught up in our daily lives, in our daily chatter that goes on, like 1,000 voices speaking to us at the same time. So I think we need to first declutter our mind. We need to declutter our senses. We need to take a break from time to time, go on vacations, go for these silent resorts, get in touch with nature, do what is needed to first, like you said, to look within, and then we will notice everything. And that's when we will begin to notice the messages that the universe give us through a book, through a person, through anything else. So there's so many ways that they are speaking to us all the time. It's just we need to look at it.
Absolutely, I agree with you. And Hosanna, she has a question. How do you distinguish between your gut instinct and your own impulsive behavior? I say that life is lived in the pause between moments, right? So when you are still, when you rely on your gut, I think that's when you really start to keep away the impulsive behavior, because your gut instinct is nothing but your muscle memory telling you about all the things that you already know, the answers, right? So it's like going a little deeper into your inner mind and then
I would like to answer
responding.
her that
Yeah, but
because
please,
sometimes
yeah.
your impulsive behavior could be your gut telling you to do it. It might come across as an impulsive behavior, but you need to distinguish yourself, and no one can help you distinguish that. You need to help yourself distinguish that. Was it my gut that made me do that impulsive, or is just my pattern that I need to go beyond and see why I do that? It's a self seeking, you have to seek in yourself. No one can answer that.
Sana, I say life is lived in the pauses. Okay, so I think
That's
you should
true.
think about it. It's when you really slow down a bit that you're actually able to figure out. And I think that's why I'm a big believer of taking breaks. All of us, those of us who lead busy lives, whether we are following a passion, working, whether we're running a household, whatever it is, take a pause from everything, slow down, because otherwise it becomes very mechanical, very routine, and that's when you start making mistakes and regretting, right? So I feel that writing, I mean, to me, writing also has to have a purpose. I used to write, but when I published, it was more to say, now I have something which I think it's important for the world to listen to. And that's when I published this. And it was more about the poems actually writing themselves. When I was at my quietest, when I was at my stillest, I can't say I was at my most peaceful. A lot of poems are when I've been angry, when I've been frustrated. But that's also a part of life, right? That's also a part of the duality. How do you have happiness without sadness? How do you have light without dark? And so on and so forth. So I think that is something that has inspired, this whole thing of being silent and finding those answers and expressing those answers. Um,
I could
I
see
think
that
we
in
are
your
running.
poems. Some of them come from a lot of fullness, and some of them come from some vulnerability. There's a beautiful balance between the both. Sometimes you can literally feel that this is like in the light, and this is like coming when you're the vulnerable. And it's beautiful because if you can express your vulnerable moments into a poem, I think there's nothing more beautiful than that. It's
Thank you so
actually
much.
channeling that energy and transforming it into a poem to heal yourself, and then so many of us who would be reading it. So many.
And I think and I think the beauty of the poems is that they are relatable, right? Everyone who's read it says, hey, you expressed something which I had in my mind. Sometimes these are questions we don't even know we had, but it's there in the back of our minds, right? So it's the experience which is more relatable. It is it's like finding your voice through these poems, at least a few of them. um,
Yes.
yeah. Are there any questions? I think we had budgeted about maybe half an hour, but I'm here in case anyone wants to continue the conversation. And Dr. Anita, do you have a hard stop? Are you okay to continue for a few more minutes?
Yeah, I can continue. I actually wanted to tell you even about your book. Like, it's so beautiful. There is, when I started reading it, I couldn't keep the book down. And it was like, as if someone has spoken from a heart, from their soul. It's not like just words or just poetries which don't. It was touching my heart. Very few poets like, there is an N.R. Hart poet, and there is like Rumi or, something like that. And I normally don't pick up these poems. I don't pick up books of poems because sometimes it's like very boring and, you just put it aside. But when I picked up your book, it was as if, there's so much there in that. One of the poem is about completion. It's about a closure. I would like
Yeah.
to read that too. Give me a
Yes,
minute.
please. Of course.
I would just like to read that. It's very, very small, but it is so profound. I'm trying to find it. I, I have marked it.
Someone suggested I should have ordered it alphabetically, but of course, I didn't think of it when I wrote.
And it's really very small. It's a very small poem, but it's so profound. It is all for those people who are looking out for some completion somewhere. And it is like, you just don't need any completions.
While you
I'm
find
just
that,
trying to find it.
did you find it? Otherwise, I'm going to read from your book one
Yes,
more passage, which I think
yes.
we really. So this is from page 69. It says, this I think we all need. Learn to forgive. Don't hold on to resentment and hurt in your heart. Remember when you resolve never to forgive someone, the person you're hurting is not them but yourself. It's only reiterating the hurt again and again within you. The other person may have already forgotten, but you are carrying it within you. And by not forgetting and forgiving, you are recreating the hurt to yourself every single day. So, who has hurt whom? You're hurting yourself every single day. What are you gaining out of it? Only more hurt and pain. Eventually, you will realize no one is worth holding on to so much pain for. No one is more important than yourself. And that's when you will learn to forgive. Forgiveness is the highest level of spirituality. Wow. It is. Maybe this is a message for someone out there. Whoever is on this Insta live watching,
I
maybe
keep
this
saying that
message is
all
for
the time.
you. Whoever
Forgiveness
it
is the
is, your
highest
friend.
level of spirituality. Because before you can do all the
It is.
healing that you want for self, but until you don't forgive, you cannot move an inch. You really need to forgive.
So I'm going
Oh
to
God,
read the
I
affirmation
can't
also, which
find
is
it.
quite powerful. I forgive
Yes.
all those who have hurt me, and I also forgive myself for the hurt I gave myself. I am love and light. And why this is so important is we talk about, every philosopher, spiritual seeker, guru that I've met, they all talk about love, right? Finally, what liberates us is love. And I never understood what is this universal love. And that's the whole point, right? I can't explain it, but I think I'm finally getting to understand the sliver of it. But it is about forgiveness. It is about acceptance. It is about, you know, looking at everyone as a part of yourself. But anyway, more on that. I think maybe another Insta live by both of us, Dr. Anita, to discuss these
Yes.
concepts.
Yes, yes. I would just read a very small poem. I
Yes,
can't find that one though.
no problem.
This is about space. I love the way you end with these questions, because it just gives you so much more to think about. Deep, dark, and serene, eternal womb, birth of destiny, billions of offspring contained within. Where do you end? When did you begin? So it's so beautiful. Like when we ask ourselves, where are we going from here? Where will all this end? When did I begin? It's like it's something very similar to the, quote for when Krishna says in the Gita, "Nothing is yours. You've come with nothing, and you go back with nothing." It's very similar. It just gives you, it reminds you of that beautiful thing, like of detachment.
Yes.
So all your poems have this thing, I just love it.
Oh my God. You are really so generous. Thank you very much. I can't, I want to keep reading out passages from your book because it's touching someone's heart. It's a message out there for someone who's on this chat today. But I think for those of you who are here, thank you for the encouragement. I think I'm a first time author. Dr. Anita has written several books, and I think there's one more on its way. But the one thing that really motivates me, speaking for myself, is having someone read what I've written. And I want to actually say, if you don't like the book, your money back. But I don't have the guts to say it yet. But I do want to say that I think I want to get people to start reading poetry again, enjoy poems. This is something very different, and do encourage us. I think there's a lot of message, there's a lot of richness in what we have written, though we say so ourselves. I mean, I'll certainly say that for Dr. Anita's books. Please do read it. It's fantastic. It's a bedside reading, and she is wise. You can make out, when you look at her, you can make out by the writing, you can make out by the work that she's doing. So I would say go check out the book. This is hers, this one. And I must thank Right Order, our publisher, who's also managed to get us both together, saying, you know
Yes.
what, you guys should meet each other. I think you will work very well, and you have a lot of similarities and commonalities. So on
And he's
that
done a very
note,
good job. So anyone wants to publish, they must go to him. I send a lot of people to him.
yes, yes. So thank you very much. And, once again, it's been a pleasure. I hope to have one more session with you and many more sessions. Maybe this is the beginning of many sessions where we talk about various interests that might engage our readers and the people that follow us. So over to you,
Yes,
Doctor, for
thank
any
you.
word.
Thank you very much, Turiya, and thank you all the viewers who have taken this time out and they've come to hear us out. And it was all about these meaningful conversations. So I was like, everyone, please come online. We'll be learning a lot too just by, hearing us. So it's fun. It's fun to have this conversation. And yes, let's have some more and let's enjoy ourselves.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
thank you.
And with that, thank you, everyone. Have a great evening and a restful weekend. And if you can, sit still for 15 minutes
Yeah.
sometime during the weekend and see how that works. All right. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.